Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You like that one?
I see you in your creative bag, my guy. I see it. I see it. That man did a whole production. Bell ring. Bing, at the
What's up, world? Welcome to Earn Your Liberation, episode 75.
You know what you need to add to that though?
What's up?
You got to add like a coffee or a tea pouring sound to it.
Oh, for the oat milk latte.
Yeah, when we open it in, everybody turning up. They pouring their little Uncle Nearest slash whatever. But that was good though.
Yeah. Better, well, I mean, I wanted to lay off the AI out of respect to the artist per that request. But not one person, not one artist, and I feel bad because Ear Doctor was predicting that, but not one artist stepped up. So I went back and had a little bit of fun.
You asked them with the intent saying like, this is something that you're gonna get paid for, right?
I'm open to it. I don't know what I'm open to what all kinds of discussion. Absolutely. I mean, I can't speak for EYL.
Yeah.
But if I'm sure we'd be willing to work something out.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone would want to do it just for the cross promotion of having their track played every week.
Yeah.
On what is growing into an incomparably big time. No, I'm just playing, but
a radical left breakfast club. So I think it's hard. So I remember when I was doing voiceovers, I was like really trying to find an animator to build together, and it's like they like, nah, every animation we get paid, and then you do whatever you do with your art, and it's very rare. Like actually, Eve, shout out to Eve, not Eve, dang, Faith, shout out to Faith. She the book that we're publishing, the second children's book that I have, we both going in it together. We both co-owning the book as opposed to it being some transactional thing. And I don't think there's that many artists out there like that. I'm not going to say that I know for a fact, but I just feel like this is probably a different time. And I'm not sure that people are willing to see through that, like the co-creation process, co-ownership process. And more people want and again, not to discount art, like that shit is hard. I don't even know how they do it. It seems like they just do it really easy, but it just seems like that labor. I don't know. Like I don't know the argument, but it seems like that labor for them, they feel like they need to get paid to be guaranteed, but I don't know. So I don't know how the pitch look or how people think it is.
I don't know how that works either. There's only been one time, other than the shout out to Faith Evans, the real one, not the I'm just playing.
Yeah,
not the artist formerly associated with No Diddy, but the wonderful artist, and she drew that logo for me that I just had to quickly redesign a little bit for the name change of the platform. Mm-hmm. But other than that experience, which went very well, there's only really been one other or two other times that I've really tried to do something with artists on this level. It didn't go well. It didn't work. And what I concluded was that if for a lot of folks, if you just don't come with an already pre-established bag for them and say, here is your acceptable lump sum, which I never had up front. So I was always trying to cut some deal where we'll split all the revenue or whatever.
Right.
And they weren't interested, or it never evolved. So I'm not mad at them. I just don't understand. I don't get it, but that seemed to be the way it, So I don't know if that's what the issue is here. I don't know, but if
Yeah. Well, we out here struggling. So artists who out there who has some skills. I mean, I do think it's a good trade-off, but we also could be biased too. But I mean, I think, especially looking at the map and seeing where we are at.
So I'm a little disappointed. I'm out here. We out here. Even arguing off air about our relationship to the diaspora. I'm out here arguing for soda all day, every day, and there's not one continental African in the EYL map.
It has to be they didn't fill out their form yet. So I'm gonna drop the form one more time in the chat. They probably time zone thing.
Click the link, please, and put in your little. We're surveying where the audience members are for this show. But I said we have at least one folk in Japan. We had one folk in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Not one on the continent. Now listen, everybody, just quickly, the diva's not intentionally being late. He is on the road eating. Dory. Man, I got to go back and look at a couple of drink champs, by the way. I haven't looked at that in a minute.
He going around shopping other podcasts and shows he can
yeah, he's trying, and then he sort of strung us along because he did. You missed it. He put in the chat he said something like, "I think I can make it," or there's somewhere in there something like, "I think I might be on the road, but I think I can make it," just so we wouldn't pick up a replacement. That's what he was doing. He was trying to delay so we didn't have time to pick up a replacement. And so he said he might pop in at some point. I don't know.
Boom.
Look at that. Stop.
When you ask for the Lord appear. Look at Jesus.
What's going on?
Hey man, we was praying, and then I know God hit your cell phone and telling you to come through. So
I turn my camera around.
I don't know. Shout out to the man upstairs. You smoked that man to existence.
Oh, wait. Oh shit.
What he said, the heartland. Oh God, this guy.
That was hilarious. That would have been dope if we had planned that. But it's even doper that we didn't. That was funny. I don't know if did he just.
Nah, he's
I think probably he muted himself.
Nah, he's not on mute. He trying to turn his camera around. Dude is on the road trying to do his thing.
Or he's frozen.
I think he knew this. I think he noticed when you was talking, you was like, somebody was gonna say, "Yeah, you pick me, we can bring them out of the crowd," and then he was like, "Nope." So
he had one of his loyalists was in the chat waiting to hear his name, and they texted him as soon as they started to talk about you. You better get in there.
Diallo's #1 fans.
Oh man,
we got
maybe he'll get back. We do have a lot though.
Man. I mean, they kept going. I was like, uh-oh.
So just well, part of it was, I mean, it was not really intentional, but I did want to make sure that there he goes.
Sorry, y'all.
Where
you at, man?
I'm in the heartland.
We doing a live
real
remote.
America. I don't think I'm ever coming back.
Let me see a Trump sign. Show us the Trump sign.
All that stuff y'all talking. We need to make America great again. we need to get back to the values that make this country great.
Wait.
We need to get back to the Lord.
Barbed wire fence behind you? Is that a barbed wire fence behind there?
Oh no, this is the heartland. This is the land that God gave us. This is the land of freedom and liberty.
Wait, zoom in
Y'all
on that.
They're spreading hate.
Wait, zoom in on that plant.
Spreading all these bad. We need to get back to the values and get back to the land. We need to get off the grid. Prepare for the return of Christ. I'm telling y'all, I'm never coming back, man.
Somebody call Dr.
Finally,
Mingo, make sure she's all right.
I'm finally at peace. All that concrete, all that urbanization. I'm finally, man. I'm free, y'all.
Let me see your feet. Let me go down to your feet. You look like you're on the street. You scared to get in that grass. Let me see the feet.
He's standing on the side of the asphalt.
I can't even hear you. I don't even have my headphones. Why is this thing? I can't hear.
I bet.
Jeez, times are hard.
You're allergic to grass, man.
Yeah, that's what.
So anyway, man,
that's his preferred setup where he can't hear us and we can only
say
talk.
what?
You don't see nothing, man.
You can only talk. You can't hear us. That's your preferred setup.
Sorry. Yeah, it's a perfect setup. Everything's been falling into place in my life, man. Y'all need to come out here with me. Y'all need to come and get out of those gritty cities and come out here to the heartland. Anyway, I just had to pull over and say good morning to everybody. I'll be back next week.
Word.
Because I'm out here, you know. Sorry, peace. I can't even hear y'all.
Let me see you roll around in the grass. Go jump in the grass and roll around in the grass. Let me see. Go frolic in the grass. Let me see you frolic in the grass.
This is how I'm living now. See that silo in the distance?
No.
That's where I'm on my way to. So I'll see y'all.
All right, man.
I don't know where the white women at though. Where they keep the white women out these pots? I ain't seeing nothing but Hereford cows and soybean, genetically modified soybean. I ain't seen one of them Daisy Dukes, Bo and Luke Duke. Where they at though? Where they at? Anyway, I gotta go before I say something else. Get myself in trouble. I'll see y'all brothers next week.
All right,
my man.
Peace, Black.
Peace.
But this guy is wild, man. Where we starting at, man? We just had a surprise.
Well, let's. It's not a good segue, but I think that what we should do is I do think we should segue and then start with. So, in all seriousness, I used it as the thumbnail since this is our 75th show, a reference to the 75 years of the Nakba, which is now 76, I believe. And I thought we could start with that, but I do think let me hit the segue real quick so that we can have a more appropriate transition. I feel like after that we need a moment. Just saying. All right, real quick, back in a second.
It's time for our next segment right here on Earn Your Liberation.
All right, so earn your liberation. Like, share, subscribe. 76, yeah. No, I know we're in the 76th year, but there were after October 7th, there was the initial there was that, well, not an initial, but a re-recognition of the time we're dealing with. And someone I didn't even create that thumbnail, someone was acknowledging the 75 years of it. So I appropriated it for our 75th episode, but obviously it would be inappropriate to ignore what's going on. So the run sheet, and I admit messing around with Renee kind of had a little bit of a
Renee run sheet,
a Renee effect. And but there were all these things kept popping up. So one of them was, and I don't think I got the, I did. So let me start here. Let's start with this, kind of work a little bit backwards and then end on what I think is the relative good note. And I believe this is their brother Conscious Lee is in this, but this was sent me I don't know if you probably seen this, but check this out here.
Insane news, and not enough of y'all talking about it for me.
The Israel Ministry of Diaspora Affairs specifically organized and targeted Black politicians to sway their support for Israel. And this was all in a paid digital campaign that spent more than $2 million on the whole operation. They established fake news websites with hundreds of fake bot accounts on X, Instagram, and Facebook just to push this pro-Israeli rhetoric.
Then not only was this foreign government using American social media platforms to target Black American politicians, here's what they had to say about old regular everyday Black folks.
The major problem with Israel is with the younger generation of the Black community.
Turned around and tried to pay the Black politicians within our community millions of dollars to push policy. Can you imagine the headlines if a Muslim majority country did this?
So my very first reaction is it was starting to sound a little bit too we and American just for a quick second there when you're talking about using foreign to enter, what if, you know, but I did look up the story, and I think that they miss a couple of things. I had to get the PDF of the story.
Hakeem the Dream.
Yeah. So this was the New York Times story that you saw pop up in the video there. Israel secretly targets U.S. lawmakers with influence campaign on Gaza war. And yeah, Hakeem the Dream. That's messed up. Shout out to Elijah Wan. Don't disrespect
Real
that
Hakeem.
man like that.
You're
Yeah,
right,
don't disrespect that man like that. But just quickly, the covert. So it was, yes, they did target some Black politicians, which I think is an important part of the story. But it's a bit beyond that. That interestingly, the covert campaign was commissioned by Israel's Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, a government body that connects Jews around the world with the state of Israel. 4 Israeli officials said the ministry allocated about $2 million to the operation and hired Stoic, a political marketing firm in Tel Aviv, to carry it out, according to the officials and the documents. The campaign began in October and remains active on the social media platform X. At its peak, it used hundreds of fake accounts that posed as real Americans on X, Facebook, and Instagram to post pro-Israel comments. The accounts focused on U.S. lawmakers, particularly ones who are Black and Democrats, such as Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader from New York, and Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, with posts urging them to continue funding Israel's military. So just quickly, the Instagram story we saw, I think, slightly, if not more so, misrepresents what's actually reported in this story. I'm not claiming that they're wrong, but in terms of what's reported in this story that they were citing in their video, or in that video, it's not that they're targeting. It made it seem like they're targeting for payment these Black politicians to sway their politics. I think their politics are swayed via similar and other means, but it's beyond just this one project. This project seems to be targeting the social media around those candidates or those Congress people who they already know are on their team to bolster their position in the social media space. So it's not exactly a direct, we're paying you to represent Israel. It's sort of, we're bolstering you because you already do support Israel and have been, however you got there. But this story is, it's not exactly as was being reported or produced in that video. So just, that's one quick thing. ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence powered chatbot, was used to generate many of the posts. The campaign also created 3 fake English language news sites featuring pro-Israel articles. The Israeli government's connection to the influence operation, which the New York Times verified with 4 current and former members of the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, and documents about the campaign, has not previously been reported. Fake reporter and Israeli misinformation watchdog identified the effort in March last week. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and OpenAI, which makes makes ChatGPT said they had also found and disrupted the operation. What's his name? Torres. So one of the reasons why I reached that conclusion that I just mentioned a minute ago is because it also says here, Richie Torres, right? So many of the campaign's fake accounts on X, Instagram, and Facebook posed as fictional U.S. students, concerned citizens, and local constituents. The accounts shared articles and statistics that backed Israel's position in the war. The operation focused on more than a dozen members of Congress, many of whom are Black and Democrats, according to an analysis by fake reporter. Representative Richie Torres, Democrat of New York, who is outspoken about his pro-Israel views, was targeted in addition to Jeffries and Warnock. So it's not that they're targeted to make them change. They're targeted to support them because they're already pro-Israelis. Pro-Israel. So that was just one. I don't know if you have any particular thoughts on that, or if you were sent that same.
No, I actually haven't seen that, but and it seems like it didn't. So Warnock is from what I see, like his idea of having this non-militarized Palestine and independent Israel and independent. Which I think is ironic when he's okay with the militarization of the police here in Atlanta, but yeah, I actually haven't seen that, and I really don't watch a lot of Consciously. I saw some people in the chat said like Consciously is really hard to watch for me, but yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, I actually don't watch. I only see him pop up very occasionally, and this one video was sent to me by. I don't know. For me, if it's like 3 people, maybe,
right,
maybe more sent me that. So, but again, so on the one hand, I feel like doing the sort of media literacy 101 thing and saying, be careful how you get your news, and people standing in front of a green screen, getting animated and pointing to one section of an article is not always going to give you what you need. But there it is. So that was just one piece of this that there's there's more.
So I don't mean to push us into another topic. Well, it's the same topic, but like I know we're supposed to respond to Sister Thandi's response. But so from what I read and what I understand, there's multiple Palestinian leaders who talked about the Nakba never concluding, and all the things that I hear, like, and they said it's true because the suffering and the consequences of Israel's quest for democratic supremacy is still in effect. And so I started looking, and I remember this one thing. This is actually your a quote about the Mayafa, and I wonder how you kind of respond to people's I don't want to say like, so Marimba Ani and any other African-centered people who kind of like talk about the Mayafa, and I wonder if there's a correlation between how people kind of speak about the Mayafa versus how they used to say people talk about the Holocaust now versus how people talk about Israel. And hold on, I'm trying to get this link. I'm gonna pull it up myself.
Well, wait, you talking about Thandi's link?
Well, not Thandi's link. This is just a quote, like a quote that you said on
Oh, he froze. See, what I was going to suggest, and now that you're frozen, I don't know if you're gonna make it back in time. But what I was going to, hey, this is getting better. This show's getting better by the second. Got rid of one, now I got rid of the other one, and we back to this. Now we back to business. But what I had mentioned, what I was going to suggest, and I might as well do it now, and hopefully Geechee can make it back here, is Tadasizwe Chimarenga, host of Root Work, one of our colleagues here, posted this on TikTok. I just want to play a quick segment, a few minutes at the beginning, just so you get an idea of what she was saying, and then we can come back, and hopefully Geechee will be back in just a second.
So, real quick, as quickly as I possibly can, I've been meaning to jump back on here and share some quick thoughts, but you know, life be lifing. But the last few times I've been on here, I've been talking about Palestine, and I want to comment real quick, I guess part 2, about why I think folks don't seem to be as upset and bothered by what's happening in the Congo, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Haiti, the way they're bothered about Palestine. And by now, we all know about the most latest massacres, looking for 4 hostages and killed over 200 people, actual beheaded babies by Israel as opposed to what happened to Israelis. So what's happening in Palestine is monstrous, it's horrific, and the world should be rightly upset. But how come it seems like so many people, or not enough people, are as bothered by what's happening in Congo, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Haiti, as they are about Palestine? And I think, this is just me, myself, and I, based on being a student of history in the world, being an observer of the world, because that's what journalists do, we observe and report. I think that the main reason why not enough people care is because of anti-Blackness. Now, I know a lot of us use those words interchangeably: racism, white supremacy, anti-Blackness. But when I say anti-Blackness, I'm talking about it the way that I understand it, as taught by a brother by the name of Frank Wilderson. So quick shout out to Dr. Jared A. Ball, for introducing me to Frank Wilderson on his show, I Mix What I Like. Frank Wilderson talks about something called the libidinal economy. Libidinal, like libido. You know, a lot of times you hear the word popularly used, libido, and we think of sex, some of us. But really, libido is a deep-seated desire, that place that dwells deeply within you. And Frank Wilderson talks about the fact that Blackness is always in opposition to whiteness. Not only in opposition, it transgresses upon whiteness.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there, since you got Geechee back. And the link, if folks, if you refresh, you all actually have in the show description all of our run sheet links, including that, so you can watch Thandi's full. But that was the context. So I just thought I would just quickly, and then, but yeah, and then there's other things there's more to get to with this too. But go ahead, yeah.
So there's a big bar that you dropped when whoever this was interviewing you was asking you a question about the African American Museum, and you said no true memorial to the African Ma'afa, the atrocities committed against African people through colonialism, slavery, and ongoing racial oppression could be erected here because its impact would demand immediate, even violent revolutionary action. This country and most of us here, regardless of background, have not even begun to consider what has really happened here, what continues to happen here to African people. Those who genuinely engage that history are often called to activities that render them marginalized, harassed, imprisoned, exiled, and assassinated. Such a memorial could only be developed post-revolution because memorials or museums are essential to the process of creating acceptable memories. Now, your statement remind me of two blacks laundering black rage when they talk about tourism and things like that. But in terms of like the Ma'afa, in terms of what Thandi's saying, like I wonder how, I just wonder how you think through that. And then, because I hear what Thandi says, and I hear how people kind of respond to when they say like, what about Congo and these other things? And then obviously there's a lot of other atrocities that we can get through. But as the Nakba is ongoing, the Mayafa is also ongoing, and I wonder how like to have like a, I guess, more constructive conversation around people's focus and how. And I'll say this last thing. So I remember when I was in Costa Rica, the attempt to destabilize and overthrow Nicaragua, and the stuff happened in Haiti and all these other things. These things happen, but the organizers there only kind of showed up during the Palestine marches and things like that. But it wasn't the same enthusiasm for a country right next door that's still trying to fight for their self-determination in other African countries. But yeah, I wonder if when you think of that comment, when you think of how you put forth the Mayafa, how you grapple with those
So when years ago, so on the one hand, two things. First, there is, I think, the acceptable, logical, personal, subjective, even visceral reaction that is legitimate and should be considered and accepted. But I do think it is ultimately subservient to the broader objective analysis that should be our goal ultimately. That's one point. When you started asking that, and when I first saw Thandi's video, one, of course, I was like, she shouted me out, so therefore she's obviously going to get referenced. So, I was like, no, I'm just playing. But what I thought of was this: years ago when I was delivering pizza, there was this white woman that we worked with who we got into this exchange one day in a lull between deliveries. We were in the shop, and racism came up, and something that had happened in the local neighborhood or whatever. I don't know exactly what that was, but the topic came up, and I remember whatever I said, her response to me was, she must have said something wrong, because I had said something, or she was upset, and then she said something, and her response was something like, well, I grew up in Hawaii, where as a white person I was in the minority, and they hate us over there, and they treated us terribly over there. So in other words, not, she didn't say it this way, but to justify my racism, I should be justified in my racism because I experienced that. And what I remember saying back to her was a version of what I feel today, that ultimately whatever you suffer should not wall you off from the suffering of other people. It should, through empathy and even objective analysis, lead you to a better understanding of how either you are complicit, or how in their suffering, or how others suffer, dare I say, worse, if not just differently, and work to make the world better, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, and I don't, shout out to whoever edited that interview, because I'm almost sure I didn't say it that cleanly initially, but that for me, an appreciation and recognition of the Ma'afa is not to say, doesn't lead me to a conclusion that therefore everyone else's suffering should be diminished, and I'm not saying Thandi is saying this, I'm just saying should be diminished or ignored, or we shouldn't, or that everything that goes on in the world should be automatically juxtaposed and immediately juxtaposed to that ongoing Ma'afa. Mm-hmm. If anything, an understanding of the Ma'afa and how it continues should lead us to a better understanding of what's happening with other people and how we may better be in solidarity with them. Even as I admit, even as to the extent this is a contradiction, that I agree with Frank's general approach, and largely even some of his conclusions, if not how it's been interpreted and acted upon by some apparently in the so-called activist world. Because for me, again, all it does is help me to better understand why I should be in solidarity with others and support more militant and radical forms of organization to change the world, without which individual change is either impossible or moot. I don't know. I hope that answers the question. But that's I always think about that Hawaiian white woman.
Yep. So I think in a way, like as much as like people who, so I think she made the statement. She made the argument way better and way clearer than most people who reactionary be like, oh, well, what about the Congo? But I also think again, like I wonder if, like, for instance, if you go to a Palestine demonstration and not necessarily have the conversation there, but some of those people, because I do remember specifically someone in Atlanta who does work around those things. And I think I was talking about something else, either something local or something in Haiti. And she was like, well, I only have time to focus on this. And then if you remember that interview with the sister with Renee, she was kind of like, well, this is only the kind of thing I'm kind of focused on, which I understand. And so the idea of, again, the Nakba, the Mayafa, both being expression of persistence of colonialism, apartheid, racism, victimization. And I guess I'm wondering do you think the people who kind of make those arguments in bad faith, if it's just basically because they're not in spaces where they're actually working on these things outside of the media, I guess, heightened attention on it. And so, I mean, I do think, again, it's worth like a conversation and a dialogue, because even with, international politics and then local politics, it seems like sometimes people locally just, I don't know, certain things just not as important. And even if they can argue the connection, I would also like to see people in the streets for houselessness or some other stuff that's going on. But I don't know.
I think so. There was another part of my response or thought to Thandi Sizwe's video, which included that I don't think it's just a matter of. I don't think it's just a matter of anti-Blackness. I think a lot of it, and this is where my particular biases around religion come in. I think a lot of it has to do with the value placed on that region by so many in the religious community that draws so much attention to these conflicts as opposed to others. So there are any number of issues that get supreme attention in this country, in particular above the Congo and anything happening on the continent of Africa. From sports to celebrity to even local news. I think, and specifically the Congo, probably almost nothing gets less attention in people's sort of daily media and news consumption. So I don't think that would be another reason why I would hesitate to create those juxtapositions in the first place. But in general, I think that's one reason that if not a dominant reason why so many pay so much attention. Plus, of course, media, pop culture, in addition to the particular religious focus and experience, so much, and then behind that, the geopolitics of the region. There are so many reasons why people would be more focused on Palestine, Israel, than they would be on anything happening in the continent or the issue of houselessness, etc. I tend also, I tend also to think that there is an ease in this country with having people's activism tied to foreign policy in general, because it's felt more like there's less that they can actually do beyond just showing up at a protest to affect change than it would be if the situation was more locally focused. I think I can't measure it. I have no science to back that up, but I do think I've always actually felt that way. That you know, and I do remember, you know, years ago when Howard Zinn showed up at Cornell, and I was still in the Africana Center, and he was giving a big talk on campus. And he said something in that talk akin to when SNCC engaged Black Power and basically expelled whites. There was this, he says, my memory may be doing him an injustice here, so I'll try to see if I can find it if I didn't already post it somewhere. But I've always remembered that his answer involved him acknowledging, you know, we did, you know, save the whales and save the earth. And it was like, if the Black folks don't want us in this struggle anymore, we'll go on to other things. And I've always felt like, yeah, I know saving the earth is important, but I feel like you really would rather do that because you don't want to deal with Black people. So it's like the only hope the earth has ever gotten from the United States is in Black people expelling white folks from their organizations, because otherwise white folks would have never taken it. I don't know. I mean, seriously, but yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
you didn't lay that out for them though. You was hating till further notice, like camera.
Well,
but this particular situation, out of many situations that I didn't hate, I'm going to have to hate until further notice.
Yo, so listen.
As soon as he said that yesterday, I was diving for the timestamp. I was like, I'm about to grab that. I was like, that's definitely going to be. So that's definitely going to be. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So the article was back in 2015. It was calling out activist tourism. And the progressive media stream. So I'm gonna ask you that in a second, if you remember that, like that argument about activist tourism, if this is what you would call it. But again, as I said, I was thinking about this question, thinking about what we was talking about. I'm telling you, like, so I actually always hate tourism. I think growing up in Charleston made me hate tourism. So that means like anytime I've ever went to different countries and people do tourists and excursions, I'm like, nah, take me to your grandmother's house and I eat and sit on her couch and talk with the people. But I think Black and Rasul, they gave me like better language to kind of like explain why I hate tourism. And so when you think about museums, culture, art, all these other things that are kind of wrapped in tourism, and then when you say activism, well, this article says activism, tourism, is that what you think is going on when people have that like reactionary argument? And I did see what Zenzi was sharing in the comments. My issue is that those people who ask why aren't we talking about whatever, aren't talking about those issues themselves. They don't need permission. If they give a damn, they talk about it their damn self. But in terms of activism, tourism, is that sounding like that, or was it something else that, if you remember what that was?
Obviously, I have, you know, I don't remember, but I think that I hope that I made or would have drawn then. I don't even know if I was the one using that phrase in that moment, or if I was referring to someone else's use. Yeah. And if I'm getting this wrong, but for today, at least, I think it makes sense the way you make the parallel that tourism has been described, even in the Nation magazine in the 90s. I remember reading, they were talking about, is tourism the new colonialism? And when you see from the perspective of people who live in these countries what tourism means and what it encourages in terms of the relationship, it's horrible. It's horrible. And when I spoke with what's that Hawaiian brother's name that Josh put me in touch with, that we did that interview where he said, don't come to Hawaii. Don't, like, it doesn't help the people. It makes things worse. And so, yeah, anyway, I think, and then with the activist piece, there is this sense that I've always felt like, and maybe I've even felt a sense of projection and what do they call it? Imposter syndrome myself. Silver spook. Thank you, Josh. And exactly. That to what extent are am I or any of us just passing through? Because it's very easy, especially growing up in the DC area. My whole life I've been passing by or going to protests, marches, seeing them. I mean, it's very easy to show up with your sign, rah, 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 and then go hit the cafe, go hit the club, go hit the corner, go whatever you're gonna do. It's very easy to and I remember when that now let me just stop after this, but because I feel like I'm just rambling now. But there was this, I forgot, this Iraq war related semi-famous white woman who had engaged anti-war activism. And then I remember where the story, at least as it was reported at the time, said she was going to retire from activism. And I took that very harshly. I read that, and I remember thinking, retire? Like, people's liberation is like a career path. It's like how does that work? Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the vibe that I felt. Maybe this is unfair to her, but that I felt, again, exists in a lot of these spaces. It's very easy to sort of pass through on the way to the next spot, to the next organization, to the next event, to the next cause, to the next. Yeah. And I don't know.
So one of the questions in our last study group of London Black raised is like, could we capture, in a way, the tourism industry, right? So let's say, for instance, like a cooperative Jackson did tours, and they wouldn't take you to sites and show you things that celebrate conquest and extractive economies, as opposed to things that promote regenerative economies, taking over local politics and building cooperatives. And because also when we get to the Pan-African and the new Republic of New Africa, and they talk about tourism and using tourism as a mean to, I guess, building up some type of relationship. So I wonder if it is possible in your mind to, like, or even if it's necessary, because I know how tourism is now, and it celebrates conquest, violence, murder, rape, and I wonder if there's a way for us to collectively, because I look at it almost like journalism too. Like, we could tell a story this way, or we could tell it this way, and then have some.
I mean, some of us do a version of that now. I mean, if I understand you correctly, like to your point about how you travel, a lot of us do a version of that where I remember, like, when I posted a picture of my daughter in Paris a couple of years ago, and a couple people got at me like, "Oh, why are you going to the colonizer spot?" Other people like, "Oh, people go to Europe, don't go to Africa." Da 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 da. And I remember thinking, well, I was like, you don't know everywhere I go and where I've been, but also you don't know who I talk to when I go to the places that you see. You know what I mean? So it's like So so I was thinking, anyway, the positive end of that is you can travel, and many of us do a version of that. When we travel places, we end up meeting people who are in certain organizations, certain formations, certain spots where you go and you visit with them. They take you to spots, and it becomes a tour of sorts that is of a different kind. I would think if that were more organized, and I think that would be dope, actually. And I know there are a number of versions where, at least historically, I know there have been variations of this where different subgroups will organize their own tours of various cities that they're in for you to find. But and then we know Diallo almost even got set up on the Wire tour. You saved his life when he was in Baltimore, about to get set up by Lil Ray Ray's
What up, dummy? What up, dummy? Welcome.
Right.
What up, dummy? Welcome to the Quiet Tour, dummy.
Meet me around the corner. We get started. Even at a janky ass webpage, just put all your information in it. And then meet me.
Yo, Baltimore owed Diallo one anyway, so he, I don't know, he might not.
Oh man, no, he owes you though. You absolutely, I think, saved his life. He and Dr. Mingo owe you a oat milk latte. Oh man. Oh, so look. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, just lastly, like, so do you think it is even possible, or I guess in the idea that we are forgetting about so, right? So you have the Congo, you have US and African aggression in Somalia, you have North Africans being drowned in the Mediterranean Sea. You have Haiti, you have Brazil. And again, maybe back to that, what's Claire being said there, just overall, what did you hear Thandi say? What did you hear her say? And then just to kind of like, I wouldn't merge it into like the what about Congo statements that we've been hearing over the I don't know how long, but
I mean, I just heard her saying that in a variation of what I always hear is that there's, at the end of the day, nobody's on their way, and I get it. I mean, there's been variations of this my whole quote unquote, my whole adult life, where you show up to one event and you're like, why aren't as many people at this one when I show up? When there's a call for this group, where are all these folks at when this issue comes up? Or why are there, so I get that. And then especially again, when it comes to Black people, when it comes to African people, there is a descending scale of sorts of attention and focus and care and concern and interest for a variety of reasons, anti-Blackness among them. But so that's what I hear, and in the appropriate political hands of someone like those of us from Thandi C's way to others of us on this platform, that question, that I think reality that I think Frank, at least himself, Wilderson, points to, if not perfectly, can be discussed, and I think used to point people in the right political direction. That's often the problem with everything, with a lot of things. There is an objective reality that people look at, and then it just depends on where you go from there. That I think becomes, but yeah, that's what I think. I think that's what I think. What do you think?
I mean, again, I really don't think that I don't think, especially now, this conversation gets enough thought. I think there's like a immediate, like, again, I do think that there are people who are not into anything and they just, wanted to complain, whether they in the chat or in general about whatever, and they don't see a connection between European aggression all over the globe. But I do think the way I heard her, it was more of facilitating a serious conversation, despite people not really messing with Afropessimism. I do think that conversation is worth it. And then in terms of, I've heard people say like we react to Western media in terms of what we find important or what we talk about. And in a way, like the way we get information, if we're not really in organizations with connections on the ground in different places, like, I mean, a lot of things we will be responding to, and how and when and the frequency of responding to it, a lot of times does come from what the media is putting out and how many different people are putting out, and then how people are responding to what the media put out. So I wouldn't argue that there has been, again, I agree. I probably wouldn't call it anti-blackness, but I wouldn't argue there has been a focus, and I've seen this in 2 different countries in the last 6 months, a focus on that and not kind of connecting it. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if that focus drops soon when, you know, things shift and they won't give the same attention to a Palestine, a Congo, Somalia, things like that. So yeah, I would agree that, and I would not agree, but I would say that I appreciate the way in which she delivered that conversation, or started that conversation on message.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely. That said, so Monday, by the way, I just got this set up and had this with help arranged discussion. We're going to be talking a lot about the continent on Monday morning. Folks, come on back. And with a specific focus for half of the show on Togo. So there it is. But there are a few more things with the Nakba that I did want to get to before we move on, because I know that we do have a full run sheet. We have a guest coming at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But did you see this? So what's his name? Mehdi Hassan apparently is behind this forthcoming documentary.
Here's a soldier saying that they've destroyed the university. There's no more education now in Gaza.
I think the education in Gaza was something you need to preserve.
People find it's humiliating, you know.
Maybe humiliating. I don't.
Someone's home.
As I told you before, I don't see any problem with humiliating the Palestinians. There is nothing with humiliating.
ברור שיש תחושת עליונות. ביום יום אני הולך עם תחושת עליונות אל מול עזה. מי לא מרגיש עליון ביחס אליהם?
Since the war in Gaza started, Israeli soldiers on the front line have been broadcasting the devastation and their dehumanization of Palestinians on social media.
Actually, when I filmed it, my commander was very. They want me to do it.
There's videos where they've shown that they've tortured captives.
They didn't torture captives. You are lying. You are lying, and you are lying. They are not torture captives. They are going.
This is a video where Israeli French soldier put a video out.
Investigated.
Extremists who were once considered fringe are becoming more mainstream, emboldened by the rhetoric they hear.
Are you not concerned that by blocking the aid going to Gaza, a lot of Palestinians who are already suffering are starving?
It's a wrong question, okay? Because the aid gets to Hamas.
The issue for Israel now goes well beyond the occupation.
כמה אני חושב שצריכים להרג עד שלא יהיה חמאס. אם צריך להרוג מיליון, מיליון.
It will always be the response of the West. We are exaggerating.
but we are working with real genocidal thought. שלנו.
ממש לא אכפת לי, ואני לא חושב שצריך להיות חיים ביום שאחרי בעזה.
No, I didn't see that.
Yo, so
at the beginning, did he say something about like what's important about something about the education or why educate them? Something like that. It almost sounds like Birdman's y'all think books gonna help?
Yeah, except that he's saying it because we're gonna wipe you out.
Right.
Birdman thing, I guess he thought, I'm gonna give you some game. You don't need books, you just need some game. I don't know. No. But yeah, I don't even, other than this seems like the video, that's what I was thinking. This seems like the video component to that document, to the charges of genocide dropped against Israel by South Africa. When you read that out of that 81-page document, there's that, I think, like 10-page section in particular where it's just the comments of Israeli officials and military leaders, and it's all just that naked genocidal mania. Get rid of all of them. There should be nothing left. All of that. So this seems like the video component to that, where they're just on camera. Like, I mean, and at which point, going back to previous conversations we've been having this morning, what are you supposed to do? What is the organizational response to that? What is the electoral response to that? Mm-hmm. So actually, that's a nice little prefatory question that I've just offered up there without meaning. So let me share this here, and then we can move on, because I know we have a lot of other stuff, and it's already 9 o'clock. But so I saw this Workers' World story the other day. Palestinian resistance breaks morale of Israel's military. 11 members of the Israel occupation forces died June 15th in a blast of a Namur armored combat engineered vehicle, CEV, in Rafah, part of occupied Gaza. They were members of the elite combat engineering corps, 601st Battalion, 601st Battalion. This is one of the highest numbers of IOF troops eliminated in just one day since October 7th by the Palestinian Resistance, which must rely on guerrilla tactics and mainly small handheld weapons to fight the military might of the US-backed oppressors of their people. Mm-hmm. Of course, the deaths of IOF troops come nowhere close to the over 37,000 Palestinian civilians massacred, including over 16,000 children and 85,000 wounded since October 7th by the Zionist state, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health recent numbers. The truth is that for 8 months, a united Palestinian resistance made up of Islamic and secular forces has been able to challenge the so-called superiority of the well-oiled Israeli military machine. The determination of the resistance has brought about a growing meltdown and demoralization of the IOF, never seen before since the apartheid Zionist state was established in 1948 with the support of US and British imperialism. First of all, I'd like to know more about this secular forces piece.
Which for me, that little statement right there, kind to make me be more annoyed when Diallo makes his little rants. But I'm just saying, I'm glad he ain't here. But yeah, go ahead.
Benny Gantz, a member of Netanyahu's war cabinet, along with another Israeli minister, Gadi Eisenkot, resigned from their posts on June 9th over strategic differences on how to achieve military victory in Gaza against Hamas, the Islamic resistance movement, and also on how the release of remaining Israeli hostages should be resolved. So folks are resigning, the mass protests, and then there have been mass protests. Yeah.
So go back up a little bit. I want you to go to, because that point, many of the soldiers, cannon fodder for settled colonial regime, have developed a growing mistrust and disillusionment with Israel's government, including the main war criminal Prime Minister Benjamin and I don't even know how to say that.
Netanyahu. Where
Netanyahu.
I went past that.
Yeah, but I thought that was.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. Yeah. That is important.
Because even if you look at the numbers, right, like the morale is really important. Like you can have a whole bunch of people who literally say, "Oh, this is dumb," or "I don't know why we're doing this no more," or "We have the potential, like we losing some serious people," or whatever. So I mean, I think that is extremely important to kind of like share. And then again, as you said, if these things are happening and you know that these people are winning, or at least fighting off this supposedly big beast, it doesn't make no logical sense for you not to stand behind the oppressed people who are fighting and winning, and it doesn't discount any other oppressed people who's struggling and whatever part of the protracted struggle that they're in.
So absolutely. So if folks want to, I put the link in the show description and you can find it under the attacks on Gaza, June 13th through 19th, which is a summary from the Electronic Intifada of just the horrific violence meted out against Palestinians just in last week. Another reason, by the way, I don't know if we want to come back to this, but this Juneteenth thing. Oh, you pulling this? Yeah, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, real quick. So the things that I also highlighted, because again, apart with the people the people from IOF who are eating dirt, 10,000 Israeli reserve soldiers are now in some type of mental therapy after their stint in Gaza. Right. And so again, I think there's more that, the stuff about Rafa and the IOF officer made a startling comment about the people of Gaza. They are not breaking and we are dying. So yeah, I just thought those things are extremely.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I'm rushing. So go ahead. We can go back to it if you want. Take your time.
No. I just wanted to make sure that those taglines was shared, because again, when you think about the resistance and so for instance, Teslin and Breakfast Club was literally talking about, how NATO will blow them off the map and all this other crazy shit, right? But again, if you see the way in which these people are put in a position to where
they were talking about Israel would blow Palestinians off the map.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
The big homie. Remember they say NATO was the big homie and they'll blow that little country off the map or whatever. They said that on Breakfast Club before. When she was celebrating her militarist aspirations. But they, again, that the fight, as we would say, they are winning. They are still struggling, and there's obvious fear on the side of those people, even those who are not really disillusioned yet, because there's people who are suffering from, and not to feel sorry for obviously IOF, but it's just like, I just think it'll be wild to say it's not something that we should focus on, celebrate, speak about, and take some type of inspiration from.
Yeah, no, and so all the parallels from all these conversations, including the fact that even right down here in these tree-lined streets, there was a wonderful go-go laden celebration of Juneteenth. It was remarkable to see how Black this area can be. But it's weird, I'll say it that way, for me to see all these celebrations among Black people of, first of all, a federal holiday delivered upon us by Genocide Joe that encourages a celebration of the delayed message of a freedom that obviously doesn't exist if the message of its reality doesn't hit you. How can you be free if the message of your freedom hasn't reached you? So, and then as we're being invited to distraction and fun, and they put a pocket on it, so it was even messing with me a little bit. While all this is going on, but in response to what you were just highlighting from that last article about the devastating morale, the other piece that Electronic Intifada does and did that is my favorite are these Jon Elmer breakdowns that the link is in the show description. So I'm just gonna quickly summarize his summary, which is that Palestinian resistance forces are being shown here tactically. He goes into great detail to show how they tactically identify the pathways that are going to be used by occupation forces, and then to take advantage of even rubble created in the destruction of their community, to take advantage of that to hide and mask the delivery of these bombs. And then they show how once the occupation forces are lured into these regions, and they are these IEDs planted in the ground explode, causing the tanks to divert, stop. They're then targeted by the hidden mortar crews for destruction. And then what they show also in this clip is that these resistance forces do not, and I was even admittedly wondering if that's, well, they do not attack the rescue forces that show up. Not almost, to make the point that they are not engaged in some quote unquote uncivilized warfare or combat, which I'm in no position to question that, but it just seems an odd time to be trying to make that point. But that is the point that is being made in this. Now, Elmer, obviously, he goes through with much more detail, and I encourage people to check the link and watch the entire piece. But what I like about these is that it shows to the point that you were just highlighting yourself, Geechee, that the morale of the soldiers fighting for Israel is being dwindled. That despite all of this technology and all of this higher levels of technology, equipment, and resources, they're not able to break the resistance, and they're not able to stop the resistance from attacking them almost at will, and from Israeli forces from being able to do anything other than become, as that other article said, the cannon fodder that for their nation and for their occupation. So I thought that was a good way to end this segment, if to the extent that at least I was finished with our run sheet links, because salute to them and their ability to keep that thing going, and even to, I guess, maintain some sort of elevated maturity relative to warfare. That's a tough one. That seems a tough one. but shout out to them.
Yeah. I remember. There was at one demonstration in Atlanta. There was a journalist who was in Palestine who happened to be on a phone with the person who was organizing the demonstration here. And I mean, as we all know, like there's this digital connection, like your support, your support invigorates them, and they obviously know that the people, there are people standing with them, especially even people in the country that is kind of responsible for the whole thing. So I mean, I think, yeah, with anything, same thing with the resistance in Congo, the resistance in Haiti, or whatever. I just think there's a sensible way to engage geopolitics, but also there's that much fervor and fire that should be in your local struggles as well.
Soul Life is asking, where's Diallo?
I don't know.
We got rid of him.
Yeah, you should text him and see. He probably he right up. Nah, let's stop playing. Yo, where we going, man?
It's up to you what you want to do, man.
So there's a lot of wild shit. I know your boy Hill Harper is everywhere in the news. He's running for office. He's the only politician who's in a union. Maybe let's go to Hill first, and then I want to go to Howard University to prove that they're better than your cryptocurrency.
We're not going. But real quick, I just forgot about what about
Coach's top thought leader.
What
did you see that?
Wait, what did he do now?
You didn't see that?
No.
Hold on. It's not. I mean, he can't help it. When you hit a certain level.
Oh, you talking about at the basketball game?
Yeah.
Down and I followed through. I bought a pound and we rode the fuel. I shit, but you know it's true. Blessings, bitches in my
NBA
section.
champs.
Y'all with all this money, I'm upset.
We gonna get a copyright strike?
Turning off y'all.
I don't know. I forgot about that. Yeah, probably. But I mean, we already demonetized.
You're right. I haven't seen no, dollars coming through. Where them dollars at? Yeah, I mean, I mean, the smartest man in the NBA will hook up with the culture thought leader. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. I mean, that's how you build Black Wall Street again.
Well, but you know where I'm at with it.
But this particular situation, out of many situations that I didn't hate, I'm gonna have to hate until further notice.
Yo, this guy, man. Boston looked good too, by the way. They
did they? Yeah.
Supposedly, they got a little.
I didn't watch a second of the finals.
I didn't watch the finals. I just saw Boston hooping this year because my brother's a Boston. He's a Boston fan, but good job.
Okay.
Good job, Boston. No, but I think I think it's gonna be. Well, I wonder if that makes not Kwame. Damn. What's the guy named the from Duke? The point guard who they was just playing against. Kyrie Irving.
Oh, Kyrie.
Because I don't think I've seen Kyrie with.
Kyrie went to Duke.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't. I've been that checked out. I had no idea.
Kyrie's actually really smart. He's smart. He's actually really.
It's
smart.
not that. It's not about. No, that's not. That's not what I was questioning. It was. I just didn't know where he played. That's all. Wow.
But Kyrie wouldn't hook up. He wouldn't hook up with 19 Keys. He would. He probably connect with some of the radical elements. Then he connect to some. I felt like he donated some money to some left orgs or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we went through that. Where did we go through that?
I feel like we did.
Oh, with Hakeem Green.
Oh, okay.
Hakeem never invited me to his show. He said I was supposed to have been on his show the following Tuesday. I never got invited. What you think that was all about?
There we go. Kyrie gave some money to AAPRP.
Word.
See?
That's what I thought. That's what I'm talking about. He almost got Player of the Year. Wow, man, I have really been checked out. That's all I meant by that.
Kyrie nice, but
Man.
He ain't nicer than your boy though.
When's the last time I paid attention to
the Hill Harper?
Wow. No, who could? I mean, who? Hold on, let me get this. Hill Harper boy, Obama's roommate or something, right?
Was he?
Then weren't they? I think they were classmates or something at Harvard.
If we trying to move smarter, go Hill Harper. See it in big bold letters. Go Hill Harper. Gotta believe in better. Go Hill Harper. If you try to
what up though?
If we trying to move smarter, go Hill Harper. See it in big bold letters. Go Hill Harper. Gotta believe in better. Hey, Hill Harper. Go for Hill Harper. He gonna fight for public safety. Cause we ain't really had like enough of that lately. Tired of all these other runner-ups trying to lie to me. Hill Harper about to help build a stronger economy. Gotta fight for women's rights and affordable health care. Hill Harper here to make sure that we got the help there. Cause we need somebody that's gonna make sure that we really straight. And he got plans to decrease our insurance rate. If you tired of working harder.
I mean, Jared, I don't think there should be any much hating because, again, he's about to be the first serious politician who is a part of a union. I mean, he has his stripes. You see them shoes? He's in the field. He's in the trenches. Megaphone. Stand up to the white supremacists. He's a SAG union. He was on the board at one point. He ain't on the board no more, but he was on the board at SAG. They selected him. That's what he said. They selected him. So he knows what it is out here, man. He might have his little shit with Bitcoin, but at least he's in a union. And you don't got no, black man in office and a union. That's better than Obama organizing tagline.
But this particular situation.
Yo, man. Dang, Hill Harper. You're not going, I mean, nothing? You ain't see his where's his campaign at, man? You ain't see that man policies?
No, because when I saw the video and it had the line in there about he's gonna build us a better economy, I was like, this is on what? Satoshis? By having us buy Satoshis?
That man, listen, man.
But yeah, I yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we got any family members from Michigan, but anybody taking his brother serious over there in Michigan, holler at us in the chat. But Hill Harper, man, 32 years, union organizer. Union organizer. You see that?
A 32-year. They're saying he's been union organizing for 32 years. I mean, and are they saying that the Screen Actors Guild counts? Is that?
Hey, man, listen, dude. Sometimes you got, when you do, what happens is when you need to tell a story, you type your story and you put it in AI. And you say, AI, make this sound believable, make this sound, and then boom, that's probably AI written. So we can't blame that man. He's trying, he's running for Senate, and
every Michigander has economic security.
Yeah. Shit real over there, man.
Well, Josh said SAG counts, but was he in it or organizing it?
He was.
Does it count though? Does it count?
I don't know. That's a little rough. That's we got.
Maybe
we should bring on a SAG person. Maybe we should bring on a SAG person because
No, I mean, look, it does. I mean, honestly, I think it does. I just think he's. I think when he says it that way, or his website says it that way, he's playing with it a little bit. Pause.
You like my double entendre though? That's my double entendre.
Over the Hill Harper. That was slick. Hold on, Geechee. Let's get you your little. Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead, man. Get you. Everybody, get Geechee his flowers for the Over the Hill Harper line. Go ahead.
Double entendre, man. We over this dude. We over this dude, and he's over to himself.
So So I would ask, in addition to what Josh asked there, I would also ask, what does he advocate that SAG fight for as a union representing actors? In other words, there are various ways to be members of a union. There's levels to this. And then what does it mean in terms of the policies he would advocate in terms of labor more broadly speaking, or even just for his state? Because what we've been focused on around these parts, around his public engagement regarding the economy, he's just wildly wrong and in fantasy land as it regards the value of investment, whether it's in Bitcoin or anything else, and its positive impact on the material conditions of Black people in particular, or working people broadly. So he said he's not taking big corporate money or whatever.
He got enough money.
Oh wow, there it is. I probably think Tume's. That's not Mtume. That's not Mtume, is it? Tume's SAG is a front for bourgeois aims where they use working people. That's because it kind of feels like, like the NFL players union, or is he mainly fundraising in crypto? Probably.
But no, so again, I'm not. I would love to, if anybody's even taking him serious. And the person that he's running against looked like they was already going to win, but some white lady did look into it. Don't take.
She's going to win.
That's what it looks like. I don't think anybody's taking him seriously at all. But who knows?
I don't know. All right. What else?
So the other thing is, because Morgan is not as intelligent as these guys over
that's
here.
Messed up.
My bad.
Shame on you.
Y'all see, but y'all playing in crypto. But my guy Johnny, I know my brother Johnny here actually. He's the brother of Greg at Land of Kush in Baltimore.
Oh really?
Yeah. Actually, I brought some youth organizers up to Howard for a tour, and Johnny, I had to call him to get us right.
So does that mean you're co-signing this?
I'm just saying they do better than y'all, because they got look who they got up there. They got what's that dude name who all the women love from Medea? Is he from Medea?
I don't even know. You don't even know his name. How is he doing better? How is he helping them do better than us?
Y'all don't got stars. Jared, y'all don't have stars.
I don't know. You don't know who Morgan has. I'm not invited to those gatherings, so I don't know who Morgan is messing around with. But I don't appreciate, just because they don't invite me doesn't mean that they don't have superstars over there. And I won't have you besmirch my lack of invitation.
Shout out to the Howard. All of the real HBCUs.
Jared isn't there doesn't mean it's not happening. They don't have to invite me to be hot.
Listen,
go ahead, Morgan.
But anyway, they're doing their Black business.
My joint is better than yours.
This is the director of their entrepreneurial center, and then Johnny, he's like the number 2 person. But
Black-owned businesses are booming. Good God.
Again, I actually offered to I text him and say, yo, we about to talk about this. If you want to come on and share, you can. So hopefully.
And what did he say?
He didn't respond yet. So I think he probably know it might not go well. But maybe in the future he might want to come on and talk more about it. But contributing over $206 billion annually to the economy and supporting 3.5 million American jobs. Do you see this thing here about achieve unicorn status? So these financial over 100 Black startups that have achieved unicorn
over
status.
1 billion plus. Oh, I'm sorry.
100.
Read that. Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah.
Again, this unicorn status. I was trying to look in. I know it's like a tag like they're using, but I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like,
well, that's what I've understood unicorn to mean, is that $1 billion mark. It's like gold records. It's like 500 is gold and 1 million is platinum or whatever. If you get 1 billion, you're in unicorn status because you're in that rare, because it's a rare special status space to be getting $1 billion in valuation to hit that $1 billion mark. That's what I thought it meant. I'm happy to be corrected on that.
Okay, because I think it's like okay,
but this, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say like the next line is killing me. So the multi-million-dollar acquisition, like Compass Diversified purchase of the honeypot, underscores a growing like again. So the entrepreneurship, and then the selling of the business, which I didn't look into why they had to like. Normally is because they want access to more capital, but selling over the honeypot now being controlled by this company, which I think let me I got some links because obviously
but before you move, but that it's that opening sentence. Contributing over $206 billion annually to the economy. And then secondarily, and supporting 3.5 million jobs, American jobs. That's always the language is important there. That doesn't mean these are worth billions themselves, or it doesn't mean that they're worth billions that go back to the Black community. They're valued at some of them at the unicorn status level are valued at $1 billion based on what white investors are willing to put into it and what they expect to take out. And then the overall point is, what value are you in the $200 billion range to the economy, meaning you are generating money for the economy, that not for Black people or even those businesses themselves. So it's almost like a measurement. It could be, I bet it, well, to a large extent, a measurement of the money paid to those millions of employees that goes back into the economy through expenditures and debt payments, etc. But the language is funky, and I think is meant to convey something that's not real, or it's often misinterpreted by design.
I mean, this
so this is who bought out the honeypot group.
Yeah, I mean it's this and this guy right here. When he interviews, he looks like a muscle head. He talk about our companies, so he has honeypot is a small drop in the bucket to all of the companies that they're acquiring. And again, this celebration of acquisition sounds a little bit off to me.
It's literally selling out.
So instead of selling out, Jared, let's go through this little thing where so they would start talking about startups, and I saw this link that was talking about like the average startup. So let's say, for instance, me and you, we wanted to start a burger joint. We're gonna start a Geechee and Jared's burger joint. And it's how much does it cost to start a burger stall in the US? And that's a stall. So if we got a brick and mortar, I assume it would be much more. And they shared that a rough estimate is from $20,000 to $55,000 to start this thing up. You got the money?
Open your own burger stand. I don't.
Okay.
No, I already told you. That's the
So the average startup of Black entrepreneurs, they have around 32,000, and the average white entrepreneur startup has 106,000. So even if we were to start this burger startup, Jared, along with this trying to take care of get the grill and get all these other things, what are some of the other barriers or obstacles you think? Because they said from 20 to 55. So since we can't do the 55 and probably get a brick and mortar, we might can do the 20 in food truck, kiosk, or something like that. But with just that 20, if we only had like 32, I don't know that we can get employees. So it's just gonna be me and you working the truck. But any other barriers you might see to us?
Well, the first barrier was in that other story where it said 71% of Black businesses don't get venture capital investment. So that's the real problem. So because let's say we had 20 to 55,000 and got started, if we became quote unquote successful, we're going to be stuck unless we get some of that VC investment to expand. We just going to be stuck and have to be happy at whatever level we're at. And that's usually why these businesses end up selling. Because someone will come in and say, I'm not going to invest in your company, but I will buy it from you and then invest in my own. And that payment might look good in the immediate. And if anybody wants to invest in my early retirement, holla. Like I think, you know, I'm willing to do the math with you and cut you a deal, cut rate. Buyout of the rest of my working contract. But yeah, so but does that article go into what your profit margins are expected to be? In other words, if you
the LinkedIn one?
Well, the one where you were just showing the cost of the grill and this, that, and the third, and all that in the third, does it say what you can expect? Because the other part of the mythology is that even if we did have the 55,000 and bought all the higher end, even if we had all the initial money to get the high end grill and the high end this and the brick and mortar that, what is the likelihood that we're going to make what kind of money? In other words, the mythology being what kind of experience can we expect to have? Are we going to be are we going to be Bezos billionaires off of this, or are we going to be just sort of eking out a decent living where we're working, where are the two of us as co-owners going to also have to be working in the kitchen and doing dishes and hosting and doing the floors and waiting tables and working 80 hours a week?
Right.
Like, does it go into all of that? Because that's the other part of the mythology that I think gets left out. You know, like, again, I keep pointing out to this example of the Asians owning all the corner stores. Every time you go in there, it's the same ones in there. Right. And they're in there 24/7, 365. And it's like, what is the experience? You know, I mean. So
again, when you look at and you went through these numbers before, but 2/3 of Black businesses have fewer than 10 employees in 2025. So 13% had 10 to 50 employees, or 10 to 49. And 13%, but then just 3% had 50 or more. So you have 13% with 10 to 49, 3% 50 or more, and another 16% reporting having 0 employees.
Yeah.
And again, when you think about Black businesses, you think about this PNC deal, and you think about the entrepreneur programs. I
even think those numbers sound high. I thought there were far more Black businesses had only just one employee.
Well, 16%. That number, but, I mean, I guess in terms of the number, that's the largest percentage of 0 paid employees. So that number is larger than all the other ones, because it's 16% that has 0 employees, but the other numbers is 3 who has over 50, and then the 13% that has. So I mean, the 13% makes sense, especially with the laundering of all this Black rage and all of this money that is being funneled into small Black businesses after George Floyd and other things. I wouldn't be surprised that people are at least able to get a couple more employees right now. But in terms of scaling up and being lucrative, like, so for instance, Honey Pot, I'm not sure that Honey Pot would have a lot of employees, because they wouldn't call the people who are producing their stuff the employees. I'm not sure. But in order for them to be.
And what is Honey? What is Honey Pot?
So it's like healthy.
It's a Black woman initially, right?
Yeah, healthy feminine care, plant-based.
Feminine care products.
Yeah, all plant-based, all healthy. And now that they're bought out or owned by someone else, now they can develop even more, as they say, develop more products.
Because they have investment to invest in other kinds of right.
Yeah,
I'm assuming, right? Because the new
yeah, well-
owners have a new investment, right?
Yeah, they're acquired.
Because I'm just because how big could you? That's sort of what I'm saying. I was asking because what was hers or their service industry was. I mean, their sector of the economy was service based, like a not service based, but no disrespect, this is not the right language. Lower level retail, I guess.
Mhm.
Like, how big could you expect to get on plant-based feminine care? You would have to monopolize the entire industry to have any kind of. I mean, I'm assuming I would.
But
so
again,
my point is, she would only get so big that, like, in terms of the goal would be to have the buyout.
Yeah, but I think the
Unless
only
you're
way
just
to
happy
monopolize it is the path that she's going down will monopolize it. She just won't be the main person getting it. She'll get a
Well,
kickback.
that's the point. Yeah. Well, because that's how you. Yeah.
So,
but okay, and then, well, good for her, because then her target audience is not just Black. I mean, at least theoretically, I'm assuming that white women and Asians can use those products just as well. I don't like it's not.
But I think they're still being expressed or communicated as if they're Black owned. And I think I saw Zenzi said that once they become acquired, she starts supporting, and I would assume people stop supporting because they're no longer Black owned. But what does that mean to be white capital invested and or white capital now owned, and it's still being Black? Like I don't know what's the difference that's going to make. So a few Black people are going to stop rocking with them, but even more white people are going to stop rocking, and they're going to be more advertisements, and then.
Oh,
So
I see what you did there, Geechee. I don't know if people realize how slick Geechee's being. Geechee is foreshadowing next week's conversation.
There's a couple things that we need to foreshadow about that.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna end with some foreshadows. But yeah,
that's gonna be interesting. That's a little bit interesting.
I got a bone to pick with them, but yes, we do.
Oh, there's a couple little. Yeah, there's gonna be a couple little. There's a couple things.
They were swerving on some stuff.
They're professional journalists.
They're good.
They're professional journalists. They good right there. They good right there. Yeah, they're pretty slick. They slick with it. They're professional.
They got kicked out of the house by Ryan Glover. Kicked them out the house. Look like. You see that part?
I don't think I've gotten to that part. I still have a ways to go, and because I jumped, I read the intro. Obviously, I skipped to the part where they were talking about me, and then I skipped to the end. So
I ain't even seen them talk about you. I ain't get there yet.
Oh, see, I started there. You must be
skipped there.
tripping.
See, I knew you.
Well, yeah, of course, I was gonna skip there. As soon as I look for my name, go right there. And I got a couple issues. I got like I mentioned it on the morning show the other day that I thought that they got a little bit. There's a couple things with that I would have preferred be done differently, but anyway, it's gonna be good. But I saw, it was
hard for me to. I was gonna skip through, and then I started with the intro, and then it kept going, and I couldn't put it down. I still haven't put it down, so I'm gonna try to get through as much as possible, if not finish. And then I'll skip through.
Yeah, no, I never read in order anymore, and I rarely at this point read the entire book unless I'm going to do a critique of it. At which point, then obviously you have to. But I'm not reading. I don't read in order. So I
think the way they laid it out and starting off with them stories, and I think because it's heavily based in Atlanta, I was like,
they did a lot in Atlanta, and. And I told them already, because they are not only did they go on Earn Your Leisure, but then they also did an event with Peniel Joseph.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, you going on a whole. Anyway, we'll have some. It's gonna be a good discussion next week. All right, where were we? My bad. Yeah, where were we?
Well, they aren't. You know, we'll transition from there. But yeah, that. So Howard, Jared is not hating from outside the campus because he can't get in. He's over there in Morgan. Your thoughts about entrepreneurship, just to be clear.
What do you mean?
Like, do you feel like we just said that we shouldn't be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship program is all shit and blah 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 blah? Or is
no? I'm saying I'm saying working backwards. There's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have your own business and to be free from working for somebody and all of that. I get all of that. It's just mistaken at best to say that it's a solution to the collective economic problems that Black people face. Worse, it's an encouraged, and I'm more and more convinced of this every day that I'm looking into this, that this is the appropriate language for it, that the promotion of entrepreneurialism as a solution is psychological warfare. It has been by design imposed on Black people as the preferred argument for Black people to take for their salvation, because just as we describe, all it does is lead you back to white capital, white investment, white logic, white capitalist logic, and an impossibility of catching up, so-called catching up. So that's all. But I don't mean. But by all means, start a business. I'll try to even support it. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not going to solve the collective's problems. So if we want the collective problem to be solved, we have to come up with bigger solutions.
Real quick, I wasn't gonna play this, but now I want to play it real quick. And here's what the guy who bought out Honeypot, one of his little interviews. Let me see. Hopefully this thing don't play the commercial thing. Why is it not playing?
And when I'm doing carbo loading for my sets, man, I have been watching while we're waiting for this. One of my rabbit holes has been some of these exercise YouTube channels that hate on professional workouts. So like there's a couple that have been hating on The Rock, who's claiming to be building himself naturally. And then he shows his workout on YouTube, and they're showing how he clearly is not getting that ripped through this, what you're seeing him do on camera here. He's obviously injecting something.
Insights on the consumer. Let's bring
so that's what this guy kind of reminds me of. Go ahead. That's it. That was perfect. I faded out perfect.
His company.
He kind of has that.
Manages a diverse group of middle market
just leave it
businesses,
there.
including names like Sterno and Ergo Baby. Elias, good to have you. Are you seeing that barbell affecting your business as Courtney just described?
Yeah, thank you, John, for having me on. You know, we've been seeing a barbelling for a number of years. Most of our companies cater to the more affluent consumer. And so, you know, we have a lot of more innovative, disruptive brands, you know, such as a Lugano Diamond, which the average ticket price is $300,000. So that's, you know, about as affluent as a consumer can be. We're seeing no slowdown in spending in that consumer. And I heard Courtney say that, you know, there is a barbelling, and some of the retailers are issuing warnings. You know, we just came and reported our Q4. We had great results, up 27% in EBITDA, organic. We started out January really strong. So I know there's a lot of fear about the consumer right now, but we're not seeing it. We're seeing our products still sell extremely strong. And if anything, maintaining the momentum that we had in the fourth quarter.
How is the omni-channel trend affecting you? I mean, we talk about this at the platform scale for these large brands like Amazon and Walmart all the time. But when you're dealing with a higher end consumer, how do you have to adjust to serve them?
Yeah, so our brands are omni-channel. We have a direct-to-consumer in most of our brands, as well as a consumer wholesale. You really need to have all of the channels covered today to be able to meet your customer where they want to shop. And so I think, some of the older legacy retailers are struggling because brands are going direct to consumer right now. And there is a shift in the way that consumers' buying patterns are happening. But, I think if you have a good omni-channel presence, you have to be able to serve through all of the channels. You have to have good price discipline across all of the channels so that there's not distortions. And you have to have a lot of investments that are being made, for consumer experiences across an omni-channel platform. And that's what our companies focus on, making sure that we meet our consumers where they want to be met and that we give them an extraordinary experience.
So I wonder if, so a couple things. Do you participate in those, like, what is those things where I don't even know what you call it. When you order something that comes to your house, you can do it from warehouse stores, like direct shop. Like you could do your groceries there. You could do.
You're talking about like drop shipping? Is that what you're talking about?
It's not drop shipping. It's almost like the Uber people. I can't remember the name of it right now. Like like it's like Uber Eats, but it's like other. What is it
DoorDash?
called? Well, DoorDash is for food too, only, right? Direct consumer. I don't know, but so for instance,
Direct to consumer purchasing.
If you need a Tylenol, you can have somebody deliver Tylenol to your house. Or you want some snacks, late night snacks. Like they got warehouses where all the late night snacks are Instacart. There we go.
Oh, okay. No, I've never done that.
So I want post. Well, it's a bunch of them, obviously. I didn't even know about all of them, but I wonder how you think that will impact stuff like that will impact some of these stores, some of these brick and mortars, and some of these brands, because obviously those companies are already out in control. But now, your products might be in some warehouse where the person go pick it up, because they're actually doing that with the even with the restaurants. There's a lot of ghost kitchens, but here in Atlanta, there's particularly like a big warehouse with a bunch of ghost kitchens. They all in one building with a bunch of restaurants, and you can just order your food and they'll just come to you. But yeah, I wonder how you think that will impact this entrepreneurial kick when that industry is pretty much already gotten.
I honestly don't know. I would expect it to become even more difficult to have. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think people want to go out. They don't only want to order and have things delivered. But at the same time, I think we're already seeing brick and mortar close up, get less investment, big things, big brands have even closed up, gone bankrupt. So somebody asked in the chat though, what is this barbelling the dude was talking about? So I just looked this up quickly. The barbell is a fixed income portfolio strategy where half of the holdings are short-term instruments and the other half are long-term holdings. So I don't pretend to know what that means in terms of what this guy was saying, but that's what Investopedia says. But yeah, I don't know.
Because we got to figure this out. I don't know how we're gonna have this burger business when we don't have employees if we don't use Instacart and shit like that. So
well, me and you would have to do all the cooking, cleaning, and order taking, and then hire and then have the orders placed through DoorDash, Grubhub, etc., where they supply the drivers. And then we got to get you some internet.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So for the ghost kitchens, I've been having a hell of a time. Like one place was at somebody's house, and I wanted to pick it up. And it looked like a restaurant, and I'm like, it was weird. And then another person, you started out could pick it up, but now you can't pick it. Even if it's right up the road, you can't pick it up. It has to be delivered, even though it's in a warehouse with a bunch of other like breweries and stuff like that. But yeah, the restaurant is nasty work. The restaurant business at this point. But I did want to propose that we should go to Blackweek. We can submit as a speaker. We can have a trio speaking. I know Harper will be there as well, and your favorite friend John Hopeless Bryant. But I think the chat will agree that we should just fill out this form right now, and I think we should submit ourselves to be a speaker, Jared. So
to be October in where is this?
It's October the 13th. It don't even matter. We going. It's October the 13th, my birthday, and I think this should be my birthday present that we should all go there and submit to be a speaker. So go to the speakers and submit to be a speaker. And let's fill it out right now. Everybody in the chat.
Man, I don't know about all that, man.
Let's do it, man. We can do it, bro. The chat give us a topic because all them speakers, I mean, they just missing us for real. They got all of the top flight security of the world, Craig. A bunch of white people.
So if we fill this out, what is the likelihood that we would be invited to speak?
You know why I think they're gonna pick us? Because we a triplet. We three with one message, right? These are individuals, but we need to show collective camaraderie. So I think if we collectively submit this joint, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Hey, but shout out. Go back to the speakers. There's one white, there's a bunch of white people at this Blackweek. I'm gonna just tell you that. But there's one white lady who's a psychologist who work in the she worked for Smirnoff right there, Stephanie Jacoby. So she's a psychologist who work in the spirits for Smirnoff, speaking at Blackweek. That's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna have to get in there, Jared. I think we can submit.
Yeah.
And I see that Gary guy, he's on the board or something like that. Gary, yeah, somebody else saw it too.
So didn't I wasn't there? Yeah, here's the video.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
State of inclusion in this space is bullshit. The current state of inclusion in this space is bullshit.
Blackweek is a place where we can start to demystify Black ownership, Black wealth building, and our place in changing the narrative of advertising.
The objective of Blackweek is to create a platform for the conversation.
I'm super excited to just say what we say in the group chat because we are the only ones in the way of what we can get to.
The reality is no one is coming to save us. We have to come together and demand it. There's a reason why unions were formed. There's a reason why people come together so that their collective force is an undeniable voice, right?
There's this fear that we want what's theirs, and that's not the case. It's about a fair opportunity.
We want to get together and celebrate with each other, but this isn't about participation trophies. This is about action.
Blackweek is an opportunity for us to come together to realize our collective strength and power in this world.
Wait a minute. Wait a sec. No, go ahead. Wait a second.
No, I'm just tired of these same lines of changing the narrative and come together. And I think they gotta become more creative at some of these, something like the same writer for every time.
Are you really telling the advertising creatives to be more creative?
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something different, man. I'm tired of that shit. Yeah.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
2014, man. The narrative. Who you see on there that you know?
Wait a minute. That can't be. I have to be tripping.
What happened? Who
I
you
have
see?
to be tripping. I need to just do a quick, because we have a guest coming up, right?
Mm-hmm. Nobody's coming to save us. We got to stick together. What else? We're gonna change the narrative.
That wasn't him, was it? Nah.
Man, tell us, man. You got us all in suspense. Who you found?
I got myself in suspense. I can't tell if the one of the brothers in that video was, he looked like he could have been
so why you find that? So
yeah, I'm really
said,
messed. I gotta
economic forum and a marketing conference focus on unlocking the economic potential of Black and diverse consumers, founders, executives, and creators, and their collective impact on global markets. So again, there's quite a few white people there. There's a white girl, particular Stephanie, who has a degree in psychology, who's one of the speakers. She's been selling liquor for the past 15 years for Diallo. What is a Diallo? What's the is it Diallo? The one that Diddy was with? I can't remember the name of them, but she sells it for Smirnoff, and but there's again quite a few white people at this Black Week that I'm not sure. I don't know if Jared noticed one of his
okay, no, I don't think that's him. Okay, good. I thought
Diageo. That's the name of it.
I don't think that's him. Okay, good. Woo. Not actually good or bad. This wouldn't have been different. This would have been up his alley, but this looked like a lot like the dude that anyway, we got our guests here. I see our guest is here. So let's go ahead and should we let's take a quick transition and come back?
Yeah.
And you can introduce. All right. Don't go anywhere, anybody. We'll be right back with only the highest quality production standards.
So if you see this, MAP is calling for all members to support and be allies and demand charges to drop for some of our comrades. Got one of our comrades here, Brother Broderick Dunlap. We'll pull him up and allow him to introduce himself and then tell us what you got going on. What's up, bro?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me on. Yeah, like you said, my name is Broderick Dunlap. I'm a member of the Black Alliance for Peace. Before I joined BAP, I was a member of a local organization. We started out as Black Lives Matter, and due to our political development, we became Black Power Collective, and we have been organizing, against police brutality and white supremacist violence in the Inland Empire, which is an area about an hour and a half east of LA, for quite some time. And in 2020, when everybody had all this energy to mobilize, in protesting George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murder, we wanted to capture that energy and focus it on local problems of police brutality. One case in particular, Lawrence Bender. He was, this is this Black man that was shot unarmed with his hands up by a police officer in the Rialto Police Department named Michael Babineau. He was shot point blank range and then kicked down the street, about 3 to 5 feet down the street by Babineau. Babineau was immediately hostile towards Bender, threatening to kicking him to the ground and then threatening to shoot him in his face if he moved. And the whole time he knew he was unarmed. So this was the case that, we had built a campaign around in 2020. We had several protests at the San Bernardino courthouse, the county in which Bender was shot. And for several weeks we had these protests at the courthouse. And then on July 31st, 2020, San Bernardino sheriff, showed out at the courthouse in force with, put their batons in hand and just ready to be aggressive. And several comrades got arrested, 11 people in total. About 6 Black Power Collective members got arrested. And for the last 4 years, we've been just trying to get to trial. There's been a lot of, just weird conduct being and corruption being carried out by San Bernardino Sheriff. They've hid evidence. They've been caught in lies on trial. Me and my comrade Yoselin Saucedo are currently on trial. We've been on trial since the 10th of this month, and we're likely going to be on trial till the 26th, if not longer. And we are being charged with resisting arrest, obstructing a public space, and preventing a police officer from being able to carry out their duties. And essentially these charges are trumped up. We never did any of the things that they're accusing us of, and really it was us being, I feel that it was just us being targeted. You see me in the background in that gray getting jumped by like 3 or 4 police officers and tackled to the ground. And we personally think that we were targeted. We have been incredibly active and vocal for some years, but in 2020, when we had a lot of attention, we still just kept doing the same thing. A couple of days before, we had fed 1,000 people in the community 2 blocks away from the courthouse and the police station. So they knew who we were, and they had known who we were for weeks prior. We had no problems protesting, but for some reason they decided to just escalate. And we've been getting targeted, harassed by San Bernardino Sheriff, and now we're in trial.
Right. So what y'all were up there fighting for, that case has been resolved, right?
Yes.
And so now y'all are in court or on trial. You have trespassing, obstructing, resisting a public officer. As you said that a lot of these things are false, but so what is the process of where y'all at right now? I think you said you have court today, but what's happening with the court situation?
Yeah, so like I said, we've been on trial since the 10th. We are currently in the middle of trial. There's opening arguments. There's been witnesses that have been caught completely fabricating stories, saying that they're in one place, but on camera it shows that they're another, and saying that they're doing other things when they're not. And it's all been caught on camera. I've been accused of swiping at a police officer's baton, which could be, serious, but it's on camera that I'm not. And these police officers are like sticking together and just, lying and making up, just completely fabricating stories that could be easily debunked. And then as far as the case that we were actually campaigning for, Lawrence Bender was exonerated. And then the federal courts, a Trump-appointed judge actually sided with Lawrence Bender and gave him a settlement of over $1 million for his treatment. So it's clear as day that, first of all, what we were protesting for was righteous, and then on video, what we're hoping the jury sees is that these charges are ridiculous.
Jared, you have anything?
No. I've just been listening and just appreciate you coming through and sharing a little bit about what's been going on. But I'm just playing catch up to it. So no, I don't have anything.
All right. So, brother, at this time, what are some things that you that people can help, or what are ways people can help get the word out, or even if there's a petition or anything that people can kind of engage?
Yeah, there's a couple things that me and Yoselin are asking people to do. There's a call to action that has been articulated by Black Alliance for Peace. That's on their Instagram page, where you could email the DA, call the DA's office, and urge them to drop the charges. It's a little late for that, but I think putting pressure on them lets them know that they're being watched, because there's been a lot of shady stuff going on in the courthouse. I think if you're in the Los Angeles or Inland Empire area, and if you are available, then showing up for court support is also an excellent way of keeping the DA and judge in line and accountable to give us a free trial. And that is at the Pomona Courthouse, 6th floor, courtroom T. And then, yes, there is a petition that is being shared by Black Power Collective Inland Empire that, if you could sign, and it's, through change.org, and that link should be up. And then there's a link that should be, I think that should be in Black Power Collective's bio as well.
Just quickly, I am curious if you could share just a little bit about that transformation, for lack of a better word, that you went from Black Lives Matter to Black Alliance for Peace. Could you talk a little bit about that political shift that you all experienced?
Are you talking about myself, or are you talking about the organization?
Either and or.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about
both?
myself or the organization? Okay.
Yeah, either or.
So, we started off as Black Lives Matter Inland Empire. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you hearing me?
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay. Yeah, I can hear you. We started off as Black Lives Matter into 2014 and 2015. And it was really like, I don't think we necessarily had any radical politics. We thought we did. And, just through political education and struggling, and then, kind of disagreeing with, major Black Lives Matter global network and the way that, they moved in their politics, siding with, partnering with Black banks, endorsing Democratic candidates, and just the way that they treated families who had been brutalized, or families of victims who had been brutalized or murdered by the police. That just didn't align with our politics. And I think especially during like 2019, 2020, the opportunism that was rampant with Black Lives Matter Global Network was just like too much for us to even like try and explain. Like, yes, we're a Black Lives Matter chapter, but we're not part of the global network, and we just wanted to change our name completely. Because I think by 2017, our politics had completely diverged from the global network, but I think it was out of convenience we stayed with Black Lives Matter. I moved from the Inland Empire to LA and then the Baltimore area for grad school. So I joined the Black Alliance for Peace because I had known a lot of comrades just being outside and meeting them at different community events, and I felt that my politics aligned with BAP, and then I joined once like towards the end of my time in grad school, and then been a little more involved I moved to Baltimore.
No, right on. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that.
Did we get the link for the Black Power Collective petition? I was trying to look for that. I couldn't find it. But yeah, if you could send that, we'll share that with.
No, I can send that to you right now. I thought I did send it to you.
I don't think so. But yeah,
just give me a second.
Yeah, I'll post it. Just want to make sure that they have it. But yeah, man, anything else that we could do or help out with, please let us know. And then anything else you want to share, you always have a mic, bro.
Yeah, we do need assistance with legal and travel fees. Like I'm coming from the Baltimore area to LA, back and forth, which has been a lot. And then we have legal fees to pay for. That is also on the Black Power Collective Instagram that we could share. And yeah, other than signing a petition and showing up for court support, I think those are the two most productive ways that people can support if they're in the area.
Right on. Yeah, we'll definitely share the link when we get it and put it in the show description. Encourage people to support, and yeah, come back anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Peace. Anytime. Peace. Well, All right, everybody.
So I got it, but I got it shared here. But I'll share. I'll send it to you, and then you can put it in the show notes.
All right, good people. We made it through, even without Diallo. We made it. I think he's worth at least about 300 viewers. I think we about 300 lower than our average. Yeah. This is. I think a good number of folks saw there was no Diallo, no beef, and they dipped.
That's more than he be having on his live. So I don't know how he got the 300.
Well, all of us, again, I think independently, none of us do as well as when we're all together. And I just was trying to measure his exact impact on what is our weekly average. But yes, correct. We are no longer Black Power Media. We are Black Liberation Media. The collective took a vote. Name is changed. I believe the current logo will itself change per our conversation last night.
Y'all be killing my man's spirit, man. He got to get it done.
Don't say y'all. I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
Let my man live, man. His creative juices be flowing.
I didn't say a word. And I'm about to say fewer. I'm about to say less.
Say less. That's what they say in the hood. Bro. Say less.
But I know we probably being suppressed because of the Palestine thumbnail.
Really?
That's what it is. That's what it is. I like that version. It's not because of Diallo's absence. We being suppressed.
They did see him on that side of the road and they got happy a little bit.
They did. People got happy. So what's that there? That's the
that's the link for the petition, and I put it in the chat. But yeah. For y'all to sign the petition.
Right on. All right, everybody. Thanks to everybody who was here live, all the remixers. Peace and blessings to all of those who will see and hear this later. And as always, like Fred Hampton used to say,
you just don't read, beloved.
Like
you ain't supposed to end with that. Because now we gotta tell her what to read. Go ahead and read this.
Yeah, go ahead and read that for next week. You can it's really what it should be subtitled Jared and Killer Mike's beef. The beef between Jared and Killer Mike.
So tell me this real quick. Do you feel like you should let up on him now a little bit, knowing his story in more detail, even though you ain't giving much smoke as Diallo did? But you feel like you within context.
I never said anything other than I disagree with his argument. If anything, knowing more about his story, because we could all say that. If I'm being perfectly honest, I am. When I hear when I hear people share their personal story or make reference to what may or may not be going on in their lives as a precursor to why they're making their argument, I'm turned off. I am in many ways I want to become even more hostile because it doesn't, what does that have to do with anything? Now you're just trying to use your own experience to cover your poor, bad, wrong, flawed argument. We could all do that. So if they had spent as much time telling my story, would Killer Mike read that and say, oh, now I understand why Jared, blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't matter. The background doesn't cover. At best, it explains and maybe gives some context as to why someone would reach the conclusions they reached. But it doesn't explain or justify their politics. I don't think so. So no, I didn't. So far, I have not read anything. I mean, I've read histories of all kinds of people.
Right.
You could get the details of all kinds of people's backstory. And it's like, all right, that's fascinating. But at the moment you made this decision,
you know, for me, I think so. Reading Killer Mike's story, Ryan Glover and Andy Young, all three of them, and the worst one so far is Ryan Glover, because everybody's going to exaggerate their story, right? Everybody's going to exaggerate their story of who I am, where I come from. But you got an investigative journalist who's having a social and political context of your decisions, your existence, where you live. And you can't argue with them because they objectively giving you some stuff. And when he tried to position himself as who he's suing, he's attacking people with family. And they're like, our research didn't yield that. He stopped the interview and said, y'all gotta go. It's like, so I think him, and he's kind of the master behind it. So kind of learning that him and Usher, I didn't know back when his son who died at the accident, that was Usher's stepson. I didn't know him and Usher, you know, are connected like that. But so there was some interesting things there. But the way in which he shows up, even with Andy Young and his family, I think they did a hell of a job diving into this. And it's almost ironic.
Sure.
It's almost ironic. You don't like irony, but it's almost ironic that these three brothers and the other person actually trying to pull off this bank thing when their connection to Freeman Savings Bank, when their connection to other silly apps that I think that's amazing. And then to see Andy Young's and Killer Mike's actually relationship and how that kind of started, and then how it leads to Keisha Lance Bottom saying, hey, come tell these niggas to go home.
Yeah, that part has been interesting. I did see some of that where I didn't realize that Mike's relationship with Andy goes back to high school. Because remember, he tells that there's that story where he shows up in Andy Young's office as a high school kid, and Andy Young is like, oh, why? The way I remember it is I can make use of this kid,
right?
But yeah, I mean, you know, so in fact, years ago, I was in an argument with somebody where they started doing this thing about, you don't know what I've been through, you know, you don't know my life, and this, that, and the third. And my response to them, it was a version of what my godfather had said, himself being a relatively short man. And he would say, well, what would you say what would you say about my argument if I was tall? So what I said to this person was, what level of trauma would I have had to suffer for you to accept my current argument as correct?
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, no disrespect, but I don't care. I don't care. As it pertains to the correctness of the argument, I do not care what it is you went through or what I went through. It has no, it does not matter. Right. If we're trying to objectively reach or if we're trying to reach an objective understanding of a situation, it does not matter. So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, tell me, what would it list out for me? So if I went through X, Y, and Z, would you then say that I'm right now? Like, it doesn't. And then it gets into this whole thing of, and then I feel it. I hear somebody saying, well, I went through X, Y, and Z, and I automatically start saying, well, that happened to me worse than that.
Right.
Like, I went through worse than that. But how does that help? If we just start playing back and forth, it just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm just always turned off by that. I'm even if I'm wrong, I could probably be said to be wrong for some of that. But I just am like, don't bring that stuff into the argument, man. I don't. No, when I read it, my point is when I've been reading the book, I don't feel like Mike is like I better understand why he's made his decisions, maybe, but that doesn't make me feel any better about them.
Right, but some of them is kind of like you can base off of their investigative journalists and based off of how Mike represents himself, even with Collier Holmes. Like, so the book is 15 Cents on the Dollar by Ebony Reed and Louise Story. Like, you can see him literally exaggerating his story and kind of.
You got to promo this way.
Yeah, that's a better promo. Yeah, come catch it next week. It's gonna be dope. I already know. But you can see him, I guess, telling his story in a way that just kind of like misrepresents who he is. And again, having the, being raised by his grandparents, they having this even the part about when he always say that he was raised by a Democratic and Republican. His dad was a Republican, granddad was a Republican, and grandmother was a Democrat, and he know all sides of the political landscape. I'm like, well, what about the radical?
First of all, that's the same party.
His
grandfather's Republican Party is the current Democratic Party. So what is he even talking about?
But the way I think, and so I had a conversation with someone around the approach earlier. And so when you take Mercer Baradaran's approach, your approach, which I don't even remember, did you say something about Killer Mike in your book? I don't think so. Did you?
I did.
Okay. And then these people, Ebony and Luis, they interviewed them and they were sharing shit them that they didn't even know. So when Andy Young was told that his family was, a part of the Freedmen Savings Bank, he was like,
right.
And then the one uncle that he dismissed, called a gigolo or whatever, he actually had the money in the bank. But the son, so Andy took one thing from the story. His son was like, "Oh, see, I told you we was about that business." And now his son over there in Bankhead Bankhead or Buckhead, one of the two. I think Buckhead. Buckhead living it up, making all type of money. He the businessman, according to his son. His dad. But when there's a lot of stuff, and even the Andy, where Andy said, "I ain't got no money, so I don't know how we gonna fund this shit," and they was like, But
you have connections to J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Chase, and whoever else. That's what Andy brought to the table.
You coming out that mayor, seat. You got some stuff, and you got one of the biggest. I don't want to call him the biggest celebrity, but one of the most influential people in Atlanta, artist wise, entertainment wise. You have him as your mentee, so.
Now, and I also want to see what people have to say about this book's solutions. While everybody hating on me and mine, because they offer solutions at the end of their book. And I wonder if people will be as disappointed or upset by those as they are with mine. But I think the book is interesting and it's so far offered up some I think helpful analysis of the economic condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if read in a certain way, the history that they're providing as a background to these figures, to these Greenwood bankers, is helpful. I mean, it can be helpful in helping us understand sort of the evolution of the Black bourgeoisie.
Yeah, and their ability to run us into brick walls.
So
that was our long goodbye. It was Jared's fault.
That's all right, but until next week.
But this particular situation, out of many situations that I didn't hate, I'm gonna have to hate until further notice.
All right, everybody. Peace. Be willing to fight for it.
I try to get Jared on your side. It ain't work this time.
Like Fred used to say, and we'll catch you next week right here with more.
You got to earn your liberation.